Okay, how are we all doing today? So today's topic that I'm going to cover is binge and emotional eating. Now, this can become a really big problem if weight loss is your goal, because you can have a really healthy eating day, and then something stressful occurs, and then all of a sudden you wreck your day by emotionally eating or binge eating. And a lot of the time we do our emotional eating or our binge eating later on, after dinner time or once we get home from work. So I just wanted to cover a few different tips today and kind of share a bit of light on what it actually is, and get you to look at it at a different perspective, because most of the time when it comes to things like this, knowledge is the key and knowledge is power. So if you have a little bit more knowledge about what's actually happening, then you're more than likely to be able to override yourself and just sort of talk yourself out of having that binge or the emotional eat. So we're just going to go through a couple of tips and things that I've done myself. So in the past, I've definitely been a binge and an emotional eater, big time. I do every now and then might have a little bit of it, very rarely though, because I'm got control of it. But I'm going to explain to you different times in my life where I've either emotionally ate or binge eating, and the reasons behind it, because it might enable you to relate to it, and then it'll make you see that you can overcome it. And it's easier than what you think to overcome it as well. So I've written some notes down just so I don't forget anything. So there's a few things that I used to do. So first of all, what you've got to think about is emotional eating and binge eating is basically our way to get away from an emotional discomfort, right? We feel uncomfortable in the emotions that we're feeling, and it could be, that you're angry, sad, stressed out. It's kind of like an escape, and you're trying to escape it by feeling better by eating. But what you'll actually realize is that when you emotionally eat and you binge eat, you actually don't enjoy the food, and you eat it so quickly and so fast that you actually make yourself sick. You eat till the point where you feel sick, and before you know it, you have one piece of chocolate, and before you know it, you've eaten the whole freaking block, right? So most of the time, it's just like, you're trying to make yourself feel better, and you're trying to get out of feeling the uncomfortable feeling that you're feeling, right? So it's kind of like an escape, and most people need an escape. So everyone needs an escape. You need a release from, stress in our lives, right? But it's a matter of trying to understand it, control it, and find better alternatives if you can, to overcome your stresses and to release the tension and release the pressure, and try not to turn to food as being that release, okay? And especially if weight loss is the goal here, it's going to become a really big problem, and you might be experiencing this problem right now. It might be the thing that's letting you down in terms of losing weight. So there can be different reasons, that you binge eat or emotional eat. So a few things that I've done in the past. So I remember I used to hate my job, right? And I don't know, you might have felt this at the end of the day. You've had a really long day, and then you want to treat yourself for finishing work or for finishing the day or for getting through the day, and you might have an emotional eat. And I used to do this I used to work in clubs. I used to hate working there, and by the end of the night I was just so done with it. On my drive home, this was like 5 a.m. in the morning, I'd pick up 2 pies and I'd eat them, binge eat them before I went to bed. Okay, so that was my treat, or the way of making myself feel better for finishing the day or finishing the work day. Now, you might currently be doing that with, a chocolate bar or something like that, or, a packet of chips or whatever that may be, takeaway. It's like a treat, a way of treating yourself, and you binge a little bit on bad foods as a reward or a way to make yourself feel better about the day you've just had, or the fact that you hate your job or something like that. So that can be one that's a big one, especially because we're working all the time. Another time where I found myself binging was more of the emotional binging. So, bad relationships, feeling insecure about myself, feeling bad about my financial situation. So what would happen is at nighttime, mainly, or even feeling lonely or anything like that, at nighttime I would find myself, that would be the key time where I would emotional eat and binge eat. Now, an emotional eat and a binge eat isn't necessarily meaning that you'll have a whole 2 pizzas, okay? What it basically means is that you're eating not because you're hungry, because of a physical hunger. You're eating for other reasons. So you're not physically hungry, you physically don't need the food, but you're eating for other reasons, okay? So there's a big difference. If you're eating because you're hungry, that's great. You need to feed your body. But if you're eating for other reasons to make yourself feel better, that is an emotional eat, and that's a binge eat. So what I used to do is I'd think about all my problems at night time. So I'd, go get into bed, and I found that I couldn't sleep, okay? So I'd be awake till 12, 1, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and because I couldn't sleep and I was rolling, tossing and turning, thinking about all the things that, that I hated, and, how stressful I was, and, my financial situations, I was alone and all that kind of stuff, I'd get up out of bed, it was like 1 a.m., and I'd make myself pieces of toast, or I'd make myself eggs on toast, something like that. And when it got really, really bad, it got to the point where I'd actually get up out of bed, get in the car, drive down to the service station, and buy, packet of Doritos and a block of chocolate, and I'd eat that. Okay, so that is a binge eat. That's an emotional eat. I didn't need the food, but because I was feeling stressed out, I couldn't deal with my emotions. I couldn't deal with how uncomfortable I was feeling. My way out and the way of dealing with that was to eat. Okay, and it was to, find comfort from eating. And most of the time, we find comfort from, foods that, we were rewarded when we were younger, or foods that are, like junky foods. So, lots of people always go for the ice cream, because back when we're kids, most of the time our parents will reward us with ice cream. Oh, you've been really good, we're going to go out for ice cream. Or, if you eat all your dinner, you can have ice cream. So we really subconsciously have a connection with that type of food, or there might be a specific food that you find comfort in. It takes us back to when we were kids and things were great and you felt great. So be aware of why you're doing it, okay? That's the very first step of overcoming it, okay? Knowledge is power here, all right? And what else? So and the other one really for me is another way that you can binge eat, and a big one, and this is a big one why I don't believe in strict dieting, is when every time I've ever gone on a strict diet, I've always binge eat after I finish the diet. It's something that they say that for every diet that you do, there's an equal binge eating afterwards, equal to the diet that you've done. So what you might find is that whenever you've restricted yourself, or you've gone on a really strict diet, and you've stopped yourself from eating certain foods, that's all you think about the whole time. And then when you actually finish the diet, you binge on everything, right? And you binge even worse than what you would have if you were just kind of eating those things throughout the time that you were dieting. So this is why I don't believe in dieting as well, because I think it really encourages binge eating. I think that you should get to a point where you eat healthily, but you can also, have a piece of chocolate, or, have dessert without having to eat, like, for example, having a piece of chocolate without having to eat the whole freaking block, okay? You want to get to a point where, you can do that quite easily, or, you have a dessert, but that doesn't lead to eating dessert every single night, okay? When I was, fitness modeling, I went through a stage where I was dieting for 16 weeks at a time. I didn't have any bad food at all, but that whole entire time, all I thought about was eating chocolate cake, chips, whatever. I just wanted to eat it all. And by the time as soon as I got off stage, and this is, I'm not joking, as soon as I stepped off stage, I went straight to my bag, got out the packet of Tim Tams that I had in my bag, and I ate the whole thing, and I don't even actually remember eating it. I scoffed it down so quickly, and it wasn't because it was weird. It wasn't because I wanted the taste of it. It's like I wanted something that I couldn't have. And I didn't even realize I'd finished it, okay? So sometimes with these emotional eats and the binge eats, you know, you're not even enjoying the food. You know, you're just, it's like you're doing it just for a release, the fact that you can have it or something like that. So dieting, scrap it, right? If you're dieting and you're dieting strict, try to get to a place where you're balancing it out a little bit, okay? So that's why I don't believe in dieting in any way, shape, or form. And then the last one for me has always been stress. So a lot of people deal with this in different ways. You know, some people turn to alcohol, but a lot of people turn to food, okay, as a way of releasing the stress and releasing the pressure. You know, it can be hard to find things that, you know, that help with that aren't alcohol or food related, isn't it? But I mean, this is I'm not saying I'm perfect, all right? So I still will go through stages where this will happen, but you've got to find ways of dealing with it in other ways, and that's where I find that exercise really helps me. You know, if I'm really stressed out and, you know, I find that if I go and do a really good workout and pump it out, I always feel better. And you always tend to not eat bad foods, and you don't want to eat bad foods when you tend to exercise as well, because you get them endorphins going. So you've got to try to find things, think outside the box and find ways to feel better without eating and without using alcohol. So back to what I said before. So now that you can see different situations, and you might relate to a few of those, but you've got to start thinking of your binge eating and your emotional eating is, first and foremost, a way to escape your feelings, okay? So the first thing that you can do is actually call it out in your mind. What are you actually feeling at that point of time, and why are you feeling that, okay? Call it out, and then try not to escape it. All right, if you're feeling upset because something's happened at work, or, you know, you're feeling sad because you know, a relationship's broken up or something, don't try and escape the feelings. Actually feel it and you know, move in towards it. By trying to escape it all the time, you always are constantly going to reach for these things to help you escape. Whereas if you just sit there and feel the feelings that you're feeling, you're less likely to try and escape, because the feelings will pass. It will pass. And then you can find other ways to actually bring your mood up, like exercise, go for a massage, go out and, I don't know, go get a haircut, buy some new clothes, you know, go play golf with your buddies, call a girlfriend. You know, it doesn't always have to be food, and you've got to try to get yourself out of it, out of thinking that it's got to be food all the time. So there's other, you know, so like I said, you've got to find ways of experiencing pleasure without it being food, because at the end of the day, that's what you're actually doing by eating, is you're trying to lift up your endorphins and you're trying to experience pleasure. So one thing that you can do, because it's not going to be just a straightforward process, okay? It's got to be something that you're going to have to work on, and work on for the rest of your life if you're more prone to it. But one thing that you can do, next time you find yourself binging, slow down when you're eating it, slow it down, okay? Slow it right down. Don't just keep going like this. Slow it right down and try to start enjoying it. So try to start enjoying the food that you're eating, okay? So for example, if you're eating chocolate because you've had a stressful day, instead of just gorging at it and just going really, really quick, slow it right down, right down, and start to enjoy it, okay? Try to enjoy the food you're eating and slow it right down, and this will stop you from getting in that habit of gorging. And if you can slow it down a little bit, you're less likely to eat the whole freaking block, okay? And you might actually start to feel pleasure from eating it, and you're less likely to eat as much. So it's all about trying to get pleasure from these things without gorging, okay? So I'm not saying not to eat chocolate. I'm not saying not to eat, you know, those bad foods. We're just trying to get out of eating them, but eating them to feel better, okay? You've got to get out of eating it to feel better. You've got to start enjoying it when you eat it, okay? Don't feel guilty for eating it, but get out of eating it to feel better, okay? Because that's when it's the emotional eat. That's when it's the binge eating, when you're eating to try to make yourself feel better. Now, I don't know whether, if anyone's there, let me know if you currently are having troubles with binge eating or what you're actually binging on. It's really interesting to see what some people binge on. I know a big one of mine used to be milk chocolate, all right? And I know chocolate's a big one, especially for women. But what I actually found is that once I focused on getting rid of the sugar, right, and the sugar addiction, and I started to lean towards, when I felt like chocolate, I would eat things like dark chocolate. I was less likely to eat a whole heap, because what I found is when I ate milk chocolate, if I had, say for example, a packet of Tim Tams, I'd eat the whole Tim Tams in one day. And then the next day I'd find myself wanting to go and get more and eat more Tim Tams and eat another packet, all right? And it's this funny thing with that milk chocolate. It makes you just want more and more and more. And especially if you're going through a period where you're constantly feeling bad, the sugar addiction just feeds into itself. Same with the, you're feeling emotional, so that feeds into that. So maybe go for something that's a little bit healthier, like a dark chocolate. You're less likely to eat a whole block of dark chocolate because it's quite bitter. And try to get rid of that sugar addiction if that's what you're currently turning to right now. And then you're less likely to keep binging on that, and you're more than likely to choose something a little bit healthier as well. Another thing that you can also focus on is eating enough throughout the day. And I say this time and time again, but a lot of people get into the mindset of thinking that, okay, I binge, say for example, they'll be like, I binged last night, so I need to not eat anything today. And then what happens is, and it's an ongoing cycle, because you didn't eat much throughout the day, right? Because you're trying to make up for the binge that you had the night before. Because you don't eat enough, your body goes into starvation mode. And what happens when your body goes into starvation mode? Yes, your body starts craving more carbs, you start craving more of that junky food. So what happens when you get home at night? You're going to eat every single thing in sight. And also, think about it, if your body's in starvation mode, your energy levels are going to be so low, right, throughout the day. You're just going to feel like absolute crap. And then you're going to be more than likely to go for those foods that are going to raise up your energy and make you feel better. Okay, so it's all about trying to get energy, feel great, first and foremost, without chocolate, without, all this junky crap, right? So start eating regularly throughout the day, making sure that you eat regularly. If you do have a little binge, okay, don't cut your calories or don't cut your meals the next day to make up for it. It's not going to make up for it. It's actually going to feed the cycle, okay? So the best thing you can do if you're currently in a binging cycle or an emotional eating cycle is to eat regular meals, okay? Eat regular meals and your snacks. So get your 3 meals and your 2 snacks every single day, and you'll find that you'll actually, when you're eating properly and your body's, you're eating enough food, you're less likely to binge so much, okay? And you're less likely to crave those carbs. You're less likely to have an energy dip, okay? Those energy dips really make us crave carbs and sometimes can really feed into that binging cycle. So make sure that you're eating enough food. Don't put your body in that starvation mode, okay? Because you're really just feeding that cycle. So try to eat regularly. That will really, really help. Another thing is to try to change. Now, this is a hard one. It's a really hard one, and I touched on it a little bit before, but try to change your reward system. So, a lot of us, when we have, a great day, or we have had a really good week, and, we tend to reward ourselves with, junky food or that feel-good food or that comfort food, because it's like a reward thing, and it's going back to when we were kids. Our parents would have rewarded us with an ice cream or a chocolate or dessert or whatever it is. So, and this is a harder one because a lot of people, they go for the champagne or the wine or whatever to celebrate. And that's fine, you can do that. But what I'm saying is when, it's happening all the time and it starts to become a cycle and it's a binge cycle and it's an emotional cycle, these are the things that you can start to do and start to think about as a whole and step back and have a look at where you can improve, where you can be more aware of what's actually happening and where you're going wrong and what's feeding the cycle, okay? So I'm not saying not to have the wine after you've had an amazing, you've closed a deal or whatever it is, okay? What I'm saying is the more awareness you have of your individual situation, the more control and the more a hold of it you're going to become, okay? And that's the key to overcome this and to stay in control of it, okay? So change your reward system. So I don't know whether that means, going for a massage instead of having the block of chocolate, all right? Having a nap, I don't know, whatever it is, going to buy yourself a new pair of shoes, okay? Find other ways of, indulging and experiencing that pleasure without it relating to food all the time or drink, okay? And the last one, but not the least, is knowing what your triggers are and being prepared for it, okay? So if you know that you're an emotional eater, and you're in that binging cycle and you're in that emotional eating cycle, and you know that you have, a really busy, stressful week coming up at work, get prepared, okay? Because if you know that you're going to turn to food, get prepared. So you can be prepared by making sure that you have healthier alternatives in the pantry. Like, stock up your pantry with healthier alternatives, okay? Because if the crappy food is in the pantry, you bet you're going to go for it. If you come home, you have a bad day, and there's a chocolate bar in the pantry, you're going to go for it. No doubt about it, okay? So just don't stock the shit in the kitchen. That's, just stop stocking it in the kitchen. Throw it out. If you've got a whole heap of crap in there, throw it out, okay? If it's not there, what that means is when you have the urge of binging, it means you've got to get in your car, or you've got to, walk down to the shops to go and get whatever you're craving, okay? Which is a mission. The more of a mission you can make it, the less likely you're going to give in, okay? So get prepared. Get healthier snacks, get rid of all the junk out of, the pantry, book in a massage, or, make a point to go talk with a friend, meet a friend for coffee. Jam-pack your schedule with things that make you feel good, that don't require you to eat food or drink alcohol, okay? So if you can find other ways of feeling good, exercise is great, right? Exercise is always going to make you feel better, but if you can jam-pack your schedule on a week where you know that you're going to be stressed out, even something simple as a bath. I know ladies like that. I don't know whether the guys out there enjoy that. You guys might enjoy something like going to play tennis with a friend or something like that. You guys like to be a little bit more active, whereas women like to relax. But start thinking outside the box of other things where they can make you feel just as good as what eating a whole block of chocolate or a whole tub of ice cream is going to. Okay, so it's just a matter of thinking outside the box, figuring out what makes you feel good, okay? And it's going to be different for everyone, okay? It's going to be different, but change up your current routine, change up your current reward system, change up the thing that you currently do when you've had a bad day, whether that be going to buy the box of chocolates or, eating the tub of ice cream or whatever it is. So you've got to think outside the box and try to get pleasure from other things other than your chocolate, your junk food, your pizza or whatever it is, okay? So I'm just going to quickly run through what I've gone through. If anyone has any questions right now, I want you to pop them in the comments box so I can answer them while I'm here. If you're watching this video later on as a replay, you can pop your questions in the box as well, and I will come back and answer them as soon as I can. So first of all, what you've got to understand about we're just going to go back through the points. The first thing you've got to understand about binge eating and emotional eating, it is an escape. So you're escaping emotions that you're feeling, okay? That's what you're doing. You're escaping emotions that you're feeling. You're trying to feel better, which is key. You're trying to feel better. So number one thing you want to do is just allow yourself to feel the emotions. Don't keep trying to escape it. By trying to keep escaping it, you keep going for these other things to make you feel better. But at the end of the day, they're only going to make you feel better for a very short period of time, okay? And that's why you keep binging and keep eating. If you find yourself in a in a bit of a binge, you know, in the next few weeks or whatever, in a bit of a binge eating. What was that, Anne? Couldn't see the video. Oh, you might be able to see it later, Anne. I'll tag you in it a little bit later. You'll be able to see the replay. If you find yourself in the middle of a binge, slow it down. Slow it right down. You know, have a think about, oh, this chocolate tastes amazing. Okay, start to really slow it down. Don't just gorge a whole block of chocolate and then at the end you're like, oh, okay, shit, I just ate a whole block of chocolate and you didn't even realize it, you didn't even enjoy it. Okay, so try to slow it down when you find yourself in a binge. Okay, it'll start to really make you start thinking about what's happening. Okay, it'll make you a little bit more aware and it might stop you mid binge. Okay, so slow it down. And second of all is change your reward system. Okay, this is going to be hard. Find other ways of rewarding yourself, you know, other than just having bad food all the time or going for the wine. Okay, so change your reward system. Find other ways of dealing with your stress and releasing the pressure and releasing the stress away from food and alcohol. Make sure you're eating enough throughout the day so you don't let your body go into that starvation mode, so you're more than likely to binge at nighttime. Okay, nighttime is the biggest one. This is when most people feel, you know, obviously the stress is from the day, you feel lonely or, you know, whatever it may be. Start to have a think about what your triggers are, and this is going to be the key, okay? Start to think about what your trigger is. Are you eating because you are having financial difficulties or you're worrying about your money? Are you eating because you know, you're feeling lonely, right? Are you eating because you don't feel happy about your body? See, that's a definitely a cycle. Sometimes you can binge eat because you are unhappy with your body, but can you see how the cycle is bad because you're actually just feeding into that? You know, you're binge eating, which is actually going to make you put on more weight. All right, so start thinking about what your triggers are. At least if you start to think about it and become more aware of it, it'll actually start that path from healing, get you control of it, because that's all it's about, is just getting in control and starting to talk yourself out of these situations, right? The more aware of it, the more you can see it coming, the more you can ask yourself, okay, do I really need that right now? Am I hungry? Okay, or am I just eating because I feel bad about that? So that's going to be the key thing. So when you find yourself going for the bad food, and especially if it's after dinner, if you've just had dinner, start to question yourself. Am I eating this because I want to feel better about that thing that happened today? Or am I eating because I feel hungry? Am I eating because I'm choosing to eat this food? Or am I having a drink because I'm choosing to drink it? Or am I eating it or drinking it because I'm trying to escape? So like I said before, you know what, sometimes I am the fun police, but like I said before, I'm not perfect. I struggle with the same things that you do, and I have in the past, big time. And these tips are things that, you know, have helped me throughout the years. They've helped other clients. And don't think it's abnormal. I think a lot of people go through these things, and everyone needs some kind of release, is what I said before. But the problem comes is when your goal is to lose weight, which most people in here it is, or to get healthier and fitter, and you know, you're going out of your way to exercise more, you're going out of your way to eat healthier and to food prep and do all these things to get yourself, you know, to that goal, and then you're undoing all your hard work at night time because you're binging. Okay, that's when it becomes a problem. So go back through this video, have a think about it, and start to just be all I ask is just be a little bit more aware. Okay, start to understand yourself, start to understand what triggers it, and then you know, will start to do it less and less. Okay, I find that you will start to do it less and less the more you can become aware of it. So unless we have any questions there, you guys can, like I said before, if you have any questions later, or you think about something, or you know, you find yourself in a mid binge later on and you think about this video, I'm quite happy to answer your questions about it and give you some pointers on how to, you know, start to overcome it. But it's going to be different for everyone, all right? Your triggers are going to be different. Everyone's triggers are going to be different, and they'll be different at different times in your life as well. There'll be different things that trigger you that that might not have before. So it's just all about being aware, being more aware of yourself, and just, taking gradual steps. And don't beat yourself up about it either. That's another cycle that can, come about from this, is you beat yourself up because you're binging, and then because you're beating yourself up from binging, you binge even more, okay? So don't beat yourself up about it. Everyone has bad days, and one binge is not going to, undo all of your hard work, over the last few months or whatever it may have been. Okay, so it's all about just consistency. So I hope everyone has an amazing weekend, and hopefully that helped out someone, got them thinking about the situation anyway. So any questions, please put them in the comments box, and we'll chat soon. Bye.